morning. Today is February the 10th, 2024. It is a cannabis day. So I'm microdosed with both psilocybin and cannabis. Cannabis is, I take just a little bit of THC and, at 1 a.m., 4 a.m., I'm up tending to the fire, and I start meditating, start writing things down. I'm going to have a video a little later today, and I'm going to read some of what I wrote down when I'm under the influence. It's 9 a.m. right now, so that's 8 hours since I took anything. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to take my selfie stick. We'll maybe do a few more of those. I came up with 3-4 good ideas for videos that I've been working on before, but just adding extra parts. The positive creative ideas have been really good. I am looking at seeing what I've got here. Yeah, got some cigarettes and stuff. I think I'm going to take one with me and a lighter. And on the way back from my walk, so I'll walk halfway there, about a mile, a little more than a mile. On the way back, I'm going to have a few puffs and see if there's anything worth recording, or maybe I'll report back later. Found this old roach. Haven't, that would have been 3 more weeks ago. See if I get anything out of it. I hate wasting. It's out. Bless the land. Okay, this is the 33 guy, and I'm talking about a cannabis experience that I had February the 10th, 2024. So I microdose with both psilocybin and cannabis. I have a schedule for every 4th day, each a different product. I don't always follow through with that. Taking any kind of cannabis, just CBD or THC with it, I am nervous because I'm very sensitive to that product. That plant medicine just really moves me to different places. Okay, so the average newbie, person who hasn't used cannabis at all, they recommend, if you're taking an edible, a very low dose would be 2.5 milligrams of THC, up to 10 milligrams. That's for a new person. Experienced users will take as much as 25 to 100 milligrams of THC in edibles, and I, the other night, took 1.07 milligrams of THC with 2.14 milligrams of CBD. CBD will help buffer the experience of the THC. So if you're really high, taking too much THC, you take some CBD, it'll lower that experience for you. So I took that very low dose at 1 a.m., went to sleep, up at 4 a.m., go and throw some wood in the fire, and then I decide I'm going to meditate. Usually when I take just CBD, it still has an effect on me. My extraneous thoughts are minimal. I'm able to focus on a thought and take it to various depths of awareness. This time with THC, usually it was like a whole bunch of thoughts, but I don't know if it's because I've hit a different plateau in my meditation. However, that chatter is minimal. I was able to function the same way I would with CBD only, and these thoughts that came to me, I took a thought and brought it and went deeper and deeper and deeper with it. And from where I was sitting, it felt like some very profound truths. One of them, like, God's in your heart. Often I've thought as my higher self also, as though it was outside of me. I was a particle of my soul, my higher self, which is a particle of God. If I access that, then I'm able to connect with that part of God and sometimes even experience the one. All of it. Watch some near-death experiences. They talk about the same thing. So, 4 o'clock, I decided to meditate. I had that experience. When I came back to normal waking consciousness, an hour and a quarter later, I could not recall those profound truths that I experienced. I was going to such depth that I was as though I was living that experience. I'm going to tell you, the first time I meditated in a group was in University of Manitoba back in 72, and this guy said, oh, here's how you meditate. You pretend that you're at the bottom of a lake and there's bubbles coming up, and your job is to sit back and watch these bubbles. That is focusing on the stream of your consciousness. So I had this visual image of me sitting down with this bubble in the lake, and I'm sitting and I'm watching these bubbles go up. And it's, okay. This one particular bubble seemed really interesting. I jumped in it. I swear to God. And this, I did zero cannabis before. I'd never drank. And it felt as though I was living a life like in 3D reality. And like, I mean, this went on for years and months and years. And it's like, wow. And then all of a sudden I had this thought. Oh, I'm meditating. Boom. In that instant, I'm back watching these bubbles. It was just bizarre. That's what these experiences felt like to me the other day. I was so immersed in the thought. Cannabis is a psychoactive, makes you more aware. If you take an edible, the liver converts the delta-9 cannabis to an 11-hydroxyl delta-9. And so then that is more psychoactive. It's like 1.5 to 7 times more psychoactive. I am very sensitive to edibles, for sure. Not just edibles, to cannabis, but edibles more so. I'm going to read some of what I wrote down, and I couldn't remember those profound truths. So often if you're in an altered state of consciousness, you might experience a different way, an alternate way of thinking. Obviously, you're in an altered state of consciousness. When you come back to your normal waking consciousness, you cannot recall what you were aware of then. That's what they call state-specific consciousness. So if we put a number to it, your normal waking consciousness is like, say you're at 50, and you take some psychedelics, you meditate, you do something happens so that you're propelled to a different state of consciousness. You're perceiving the world and your experience, and it can be very profound. When you come back to normal waking consciousness, you cannot recall it because you're not at that place. That's what it felt like to me. It seemed like there was so many, at least 5 great truths. So I started writing these down, and I'm going to read to you what I wrote at 5:15 after I finished meditating, when I couldn't recall any of this. It's okay, I try to write down my experiences. In fact, I've often said to myself, if I have one event, one experience that gives me an insight into myself or the world or some reality during any kind of experience, whether it's meditation or using cannabis or psychedelics or whatever, I'd be pleased. So, here's what I wrote. And you've heard me say some of this already, February 10th, I think. Anyways, so I was nervous before I took this. I told you what it is, and there were lots of thoughts, but less than normal with THC, similar to CBD, so less background chatter, and had some important insights. One of them was, God is in your heart. I mentioned that earlier, and so in other words, look at your heart, feel your heart, and you can be more aware of that true aspect of yourself, which is a particle of God. I remember moving and then back, and it's as though, you go so far, then you come back. Something like a pendulum with your consciousness. If you look at the world and you see how different ideas sometimes go to an extreme and then they come back. To me, original woman's lib back in the early 70s was that. Went back and then it went to an extreme and then came back. I think we're on that swing up again. There's an infinite amount one can learn. And by one, I meant God. So one aspect of what we're doing in this life is we make an agreement, a contract to come down in 3D reality. This is a harder place to live than other places where they have a connection. They know, they're aware, they're conscious that we are a part of God. We're not conscious of that. That's the illusion. That's Maya. That's where we're at. This is a hard school, man. It's a difficult place to be. And we go in here, we have all of our experiences. Some of us like horror movies, so they go to the Gaza or the Ukraine. Some of us, no, I don't want to do that again. I'm just going to have, just a normal life like I've got. Relatively normal. I still go through my ups and downs. I've had some crazy, and I've had wonderful, beautiful, blessed experiences. I feel so grateful and yeah, very fortunate compared to even the average bear. I'm not super rich, but I ain't dying. Okay, and so you finish with those experiences, you go back, or sometime, near-death experiences, they talk about this too, which that's going to be my next one, I think. They go back to the source, and it's as though they'd be uploading, they'd be downloading their experiences to all of the drops in the ocean, to all the other souls in the one, and the one expands and experiences it. So even God is growing. There's infinite ways to grow and improve of the one and us. And it's such a paradoxical thing to think of. Well, yeah, we're part of God and we can experience all that, but we're separate, but we're not. It's a real mind messer. Okay. Just a drop in the ocean. Each drop is different. Like snowflakes. We're like snowflakes. Every one of us are similar and unique. And that's what gives us our unique experiences when we go back to God and share our life with them. So, I was surprised that I was able to write some of those truths down and here's the thing, when I recalled them, when I rediscovered, it's like I relived them in that, and that was what? How many hours after? This is like at 5:30, so that's like 4.5 hours after I ingested 1 milligram THC with the CBD to buffer it. I am sensitive. And while I relived what I had experienced during that meditation time, during that time that I was taking those individual thoughts and just focusing more and more, going deeper and deeper and opening up to what truth is in there. And to be fair, I had many of those thoughts that were beautiful, that was really touching, and I also had a negative tangent of some people that I trusted. I trusted with money. I've been a fool. And they did not have the responsibility in that part of their life to honor their debts and repay me. So, money isn't sacred, but it is an important aspect of this 3D life, and it definitely can give us freedom, and it is the means of exchange. I've done this so many times, it's ridiculous. And I see those people as basically good people. Like, they're nice people. They're not evil people. They're good people. But man, they're really messed up in that component. And that surprises me because I could never do that to anyone. I could never do that. My brother, he and I have exchanged money back and forth. And said, okay, it's going to cost me this much. You have to pay, the principal plus whatever it's going to cost me. I don't need to make money on you, but, I'm glad to help you out. I liked that and I assumed other people would behave that way. They don't. It's really hard for me to believe that. So I had some negative thoughts as well. I went back, about 6 o'clock, so I was writing for 45 minutes. 6 a.m., I'm going to go back and meditate again. This time I'm going to do my best to focus on God, or an aspect of God, love, truth, beauty, power. One of those things. And I chose love because I've been blessed and experienced with unconditional love like half a dozen times. I'll talk about that one time in my... So, 2 things happen. I'm going to read from this book. This is one of Yogananda's disciples. And in this chapter, he's talking about reincarnation. And I want to read to you, he's talking how Yogananda said, oh, this person was from there, this person was from there, or something like this. And so he says, this is page 315 in case you're interested, one of the most interesting accounts of this nature, of reincarnation, ever to come to my attention was sent to me many years ago by a friend in Cuba, where it had been reprinted in newspapers from an article that appeared in France. The account tells of a young French girl. The devout Catholic parents had been using recognizable Indian words such as rupee as soon as she was old enough to speak. The 2 words he used repeatedly were Wardar and Bapu. Her parents, intrigued, began reading books on India. Wardar, they learned, was a village where Mahatma Gandhi had established his ashram. And Bapu was the familiar name by which he was known by his intimate friends and disciples. The child claimed that in her last life she had lived in Wardar with Bapu. One day someone presented her parents a copy of Autobiography of a Yogi. Okay? In the latter part of which Yogananda describes his 1935 visit to Mahatma Gandhi in Wardar. The moment the child saw Yogananda's photo on the jacket, she cried gleefully, oh, that's Yogananda. He came to Wardar. He was very beautiful. The part that really struck me about this, reading that, was that I heard her voice. This was not the voice of the author. It was not the voice of Yogananda. I heard a woman's voice speak those words as though I was right there. So present. Man, maybe I got a really good imagination, but I really appreciate it. Okay. One of my favorite chapters in here is, forget the chapter number. Yogananda's teacher, when he goes back to India in 1935, besides seeing Mahatma Gandhi, of course, he went to see his own guru, his own teacher, Sri Yukteswar. Sri Yukteswar dies. He told him that. He prepared him. He says, hey, I'm time to swim out of the body. come on. And so Yogananda takes a year and a half to get there, going through Europe and all this. And he is, of course, upset. He's a human being. He's upset that his guru has left the physical. He's devastated. I'm not sure exactly the time frame. A week later, a month later, or something like that. It must have been a little more than that. Let's say a month after he passed away. I'm not sure exactly. I want to go check. He's sitting down, he had this meditation, he saw Krishna, which is the Eastern version of, their savior, a great avatar, a great avatar. And he felt that was a preliminary to something to happen. And then he's meditating on the, and boom, he hears this note. His guru appeared to him physically, and he's saying he's hanging on to this guy. He has the same smell. He's holding on to him like physically. It's the same thing. And Yukteswar is talking about this plane, the astral plane, the causal plane. Yukteswar right now says, according to the autobiography, yoga is in a high astral plane, Harana Loka. And he's teaching high astral beings to move to the next level, the causal plane, where it's just thoughts and attitudes. For some reason, I was thinking of that, and for a moment, it felt as though I was there in Yukteswar's presence. I don't know, but it felt good. I have nice positive thoughts. At 7 o'clock, I'm finished meditating. I go and I sleep for a couple hours. 9 o'clock, I'm going out for a walk. 9:20, I'm at a place that I find is a power spot for me. I've had some very positive experiences there with and without cannabis. And I had a little roach left, and so I took 6 puffs of the roach. And I think I'll play this thing. Usually, if I have 3, that moves me into an altered state. If I have 6 and I'm with someone, they better be carrying on an intelligent conversation, or else I'll push their buttons. That's frustrating for me. People just feeling foolish, not thinking when they're talking or communicating. That had no discernible effect on me. I walked back, and so it would only take me half an hour to walk back. That'd be 10 o'clock. I spent another hour doing I don't know what. And then I went, I lit my sauna, and I went in there, and okay, nothing's happening much. I had this one joint, this one cigarette of a strain called Chem Dog, which is very subtle, very cerebral. I did dishes, I cleaned up. Oh, and that's when I read this thing on reincarnation. And that's when I had the experience of Yukteswar in the higher places. So I sat, I did some more meditation. I don't know everything else I did. About 1, 2, 3 o'clock, something like that, I was thinking, do I want to smoke more or something like that? And no, I didn't. So that was my cannabis day. Little more extensive than I usually do it. Usually I'll just take the edible and that'll be sufficient. However, I didn't this time. Okay, so that's it. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Know that God's in you. Take a little time. Just sit, be quiet, and feel as though you're breathing from your heart. Feel as though that is the center of your being. Know that God loves you. So do I.